Let's chat about Butch Cassidy, born Robert Leroy Parker, the most courteous criminal who ever tipped his hat while cleaning out a bank. This guy was so non-violent, you'd think he was allergic to bloodshed. Despite being a full-time outlaw, there's no record of him killing anyone. He planned his heists like a mastermind, always aiming to avoid any shootouts. If there was an award for nicest guy to ever rob you, Butch would win hands down. The thank you note bandit. After one bank robbery, instead of just skedaddling, Butch left a handwritten note thanking the bank staff for their cooperation. He even added, "You might want to invest in a better safe." Imagine being the bank manager reading that, robbed and critiqued in one fell swoop. Deja vu on the rails. Butch had the audacity to rob the same train twice. The second time, the fed-up conductor exclaimed, "You again?" Butch just grinned and said, "Well, you make it so darn convenient." It's like he had a punch card. Rob 5 trains, get the 6th free. Billy the Kid, the outlaw who could steal your cattle and your heart, in 2 languages. Let's talk about Billy the Kid, born Henry McCarty, also known as William H. Bonney, a legend who was as quick with his wit as he was with a 6-shooter. Growing up in the melting pot of New Mexico, young Billy didn't just pick up Spanish. He became so fluent that he could charm you in 2 languages before you realized your wallet was missing. He seamlessly blended into Hispanic communities, often using Spanish aliases. If there were a Wild West award for most likely to confuse a bounty hunter, Billy would have been a shoo-in. Poker Face, multilingual edition. Picture this: a dimly lit saloon, smoke hanging thick in the air, and a high-stakes poker game underway. Billy notices that his opponents are exchanging sly glances, clearly up to no good. Without missing a beat, he switches to fluent Spanish, rattling off bets and raises. The other players start fidgeting. "Hey, what's with the Spanish?" one grumbles. Billy flashes a mischievous grin. "No comprenden? Now you know how I feel when you fellas cheat." The table erupts in laughter, except for the cheaters, who are too busy turning red. Billy scoops up the pot while they're still trying to translate. Jesse James, the outlaw who faked his death and other shenanigans. Let's dive into the wild and wacky world of Jesse James, the original rock star of outlaws who could rob a bank, charm a crowd, and still find time to prank the entire nation. Before he became a legend with a price on his head, Jesse was knee-deep in the Civil War chaos, riding with Quantrill's raiders. These guys were the guerrilla fighters your mother warned you about, notorious for their hit-and-run tactics against Union forces. Jesse got his first taste of the outlaw life there, but little did anyone know just how creative he'd get. Hilarious hijinks and amusing anecdotes. We don't rob our own, but maybe wear a name tag next time. So picture this: Jesse and his gang storm into a bank, guns drawn, everyone hitting the deck. As they're collecting cash faster than a Black Friday sale, Jesse spots a familiar face among the terrified customers. Turns out, the guy's a fellow Confederate veteran who's fallen on hard times. In a rare moment of outlaw empathy, Jesse hands the man his money back. "We don't rob our own," he says with a wink. The startled customer clutches his cash like it's a winning lottery ticket and blurts out, "Next time, wear a sign or something. My heart can't handle these surprises." Jesse just chuckles and saunters out, leaving everyone wondering if they just got robbed or made a new friend. The dead man writing letters. Tired of being the most wanted man west of the Mississippi, Jesse decides to have a little fun. He pens a letter to a local newspaper declaring, "Drum roll, please," his own death. The news spreads faster than gossip in a small town. People hold memorials, write tearful obituaries, and some probably start thinking about renaming the local saloon in his honor. But lo and behold, a few weeks later, Jesse pops back up like a bad penny. Folks don't know whether to be relieved, scared, or just plain annoyed. One exasperated editor quips, "Dead men don't write letters, but they sure do sell newspapers." Jesse probably had a good laugh over his morning coffee, thinking he'd missed his calling as a publicist. James Butler Wild Bill Hickok, a lawman, gambler, and the kind of guy who could shoot the ace out of your hand from across the room. This man was a living legend, known for his sharpshooting skills, flamboyant style, and a mustache that could make a cowboy weep with envy. But even legends have their off days, and Wild Bill had a couple that are the stuff of Wild West lore. The unluckiest hand in poker history. Picture this. Wild Bill strolls into a Deadwood saloon, ready for a friendly game of poker. He's dealt a pair of aces and a pair of eights. Not too shabby. Little did he know, this hand would soon be dubbed the dead man's hand. Earlier that day, a friend cautioned him, "Bill, one of these days, gambling's gonna be the death of you." Wild Bill chuckled. Only if Lady Luck's feeling particularly unladylike. Well, turns out she was in a downright foul mood. A disgruntled drifter named Jack McCall took that moment to shoot him in the back. Talk about a bad beat. From then on, aces and eights became the hand nobody wanted, unless they had a hankering for the afterlife. Never sit with your back to the door. Except that one time. Wild Bill was notorious for never sitting with his back to the door. He was so cautious that he'd make other patrons swap seats so he could keep an eye on who was coming and going. People thought he was just being paranoid, but he'd say, "I can't shoot straight if I can't see straight." The one time he broke his own rule, he joked, "Well, let's hope no one has a grudge today." Spoiler alert, someone did. Maybe he should have stuck to his guns, literally and figuratively. Poker face legend. Bill's poker face was so stoic that even a statue would have looked animated next to him. A newbie gambler tried to throw him off by making funny faces and telling bad jokes. Wild Bill didn't even blink. "Son," he drawled, "I've faced down stampeding buffalo and angry outlaws. Your knock-knock jokes ain't gonna cut it." The great mustache mishap. In a poker game gone awry, Bill lost a bet and had to shave off his iconic mustache. The next day, crime rates spiked because no one recognized him as the sheriff. Frustrated, he drew on a fake mustache until his real one grew back. "Can't have lawlessness just 'cause my upper lip's on vacation," he grumbled.